Hi everybody, this is my Tetra Whisper air pump and it's rated from 10 to 30 gallons. I've had it in my office tank for a little while and it's not really producing a lot of air bubbles anymore. And one of the things I found interesting about it is that I got more or less bubbles when I shook the unit. And I couldn't figure out why shaking the unit would cause me to have more bubbles, more airflow all of a sudden, and only for a moment, and then it went back to this really reduced airflow. So I've been speculating about damaged or torn diaphragms. A friend of mine suggested maybe the valves in there are getting some oxidized rubber on them, and maybe if I could clean them off with an alcohol swab or something, I'd get the thing working again. So I don't know, but we're going to pull this open and look inside and see what's going on with it. I realize you'd probably be far better served by watching Big Clive do this, but you're going to have to settle for me today. So I've already got the screws pulled out of it just in case I had any problem with that. I wanted to make sure I could do that before I even started the video. So once we get inside, what we're looking at is a simple motor that makes this little magnet go back and forth, and that pushes on this little diaphragm there, and presumably in here is some sort of one-way valve. I tried blowing in this end and I cannot get air to blow in that end at all. So if there's a stuck valve, it's not, allowing the flow to flow backwards. I don't know. I would imagine when I shake it, it's just simply, this is a fairly sizable mass of a magnet, and if I was shaking it, if it made that vibrate a little harder, you can see how it would just pump that plunger a little more, the diaphragm. I'm also going to say this is a really thick rubber diaphragm. The idea that that's going to dry rot or go bad in just a couple of years or whatever is probably not accurate. I haven't tried pulling this off, actually, to see what's on the inside of there. That is just a pretty simple diaphragm to just pop off. And what are we looking at on the inside there? Not 100% sure, but maybe we can pull this out of here and get a little bit of a closer look. I think that just slides right out. It does. That was actually pretty easy. So that just slides right out. And you can feel that magnet is trying to pull on that. So alright, we've got the diaphragm out, and the diaphragm is in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Again, that's thick rubber. That's not going to wear out anytime soon. So I was definitely wrong about thinking that might be the case. Now, that is going to be my little valve in there. So let me put you on pause, and I'm going to get my magnifying glass and go have a look at this in the other room where I can actually see what I'm looking at, because that could be where the air's not flowing properly. So let me have a look at that, and I will be right back. All right, I can't believe we're still sitting on pause all that time. I thought I was going to have to stitch two scenes together. Anyway, I took this in the other room, and this actually just pops right out. Again, it's just in a little track, so it slides out. And I started looking at it, and these are your one-way valves. These allow the air to go one way but not the other. And I started by cleaning out that one. That one just had a bunch of crud all piled up down in there, and so I was using isopropyl alcohol and the corner of a little bit of paper towel, and you can see how much nasty grossness I was getting out of there. And so once I got this little side cleaned, I flipped it over, and I noticed there was a bunch of sort of crud down in here in the bottom. And when I started wiping that out, I was surprised to find there's a big hole down there. I could not even see that hole in there at all. And when I flip it over, it's now completely clear. So on this one, when I took the alcohol and I squirted it through this hole, it splashes out the other side. So it's clearly coming through this little valve properly now. And then again, this hole, I could see that it was a hole from this side, but I couldn't see that it was wide open like that. I thought it was a tiny little pinpoint hole. And then on this side, it was just stuff in there. It was just crud. I couldn't see the hole at all. So I think I may have just fixed my problem. We're going to go ahead and put this back together. This just slides in same way it was when it came out. And then the plunger has that little sort of rounded hole, and that little rounded piece just drops in there. And then you just push the plunger itself back around that piece of rubber. Maybe I should have started around the bottom. I might have to use my screwdriver to get the bottom edge on there. And I believe that's it. We are done. All I have to do is put it back together and put the lid on. So now I was saying to somebody the other day that these are so inexpensive. It only cost me, I replaced this one with one that is for a 40 to 60 gallon tank, and it only cost me like $10 or $11. So I said it really isn't worth buying a rebuild kit to repair these. But if it's simply pulling it apart like that and giving it a little bit of a cleaning and then putting it back together, that's free, and it only takes a few minutes, and it was actually an interesting little project now that we've seen what's inside one of these. So I'm going to put this back together. We're going to head upstairs. I'm going to put it back in the tank, and we're going to see what kind of a difference that just made. All right, everybody. Unfortunately, I think we are at the end of the line. I don't know why, but I took it upstairs and plugged it in, and I got no airflow at all. The water that had backed up into the air hose was not even pushing all the way down to the air stone itself. There wasn't enough air pressure to actually push the water back out of the line, let alone get any bubbles to blow. I did turn it over and I blew into this hole, and when I did that, a bunch of air bubbles came out of the air stone, but as soon as I stopped, I got nothing. And if I shook it, I got nothing. So it's actually worse off now than it was before. I don't know if my cleaning it did something wrong or over cleaned it. I've tested it a few times. In fact, I'm going to show you here just a moment. Plug this in. So you can see how that works. Of course, the camera shutter effect is going to probably make that look odd to you, but it just vibrates back and forth and just pumps on that little diaphragm right there, and I'm getting virtually no air at all coming out of this little vent right there. Not sure what's going on in here, but as far as I can tell, there's no way to get this part out. And as you can see by the scrape marks in there, the top section does not appear to be meant to come off. And as far as I can tell, there is no screw down in there to be unscrewed. I do have a screwdriver that's small enough to fit in there, but it's just plastic at the bottom. There's no screw or anything. So I don't know what else to do. I think we're at the end of the line, but it was still interesting having a look inside one of these. It's definitely worth repairing if you can pay a couple of dollars to get a new diaphragm or something like that. They're really easy to take apart and put back together. So there you are. I hope that was helpful to somebody. I wish I could have gotten it working again. That would have been interesting. But I'll pick this back up later and have another look at it and see if I can't figure something out. If I do, I will do an update. All right, everybody. We are going to do a final update right now. I got to looking at the footage as I started putting the video together, and one of the things I noticed that struck me as unusual, that you may have already picked up on, is that second port that I cleaned out is now just a hole. It allows air to flow both directions, and I'm not sure it's supposed to do that. I don't know how the pump would work if it's able to blow air in and out of the same hole. And if you look really closely at that, it almost looks like some of the plastic down at the bottom was worn away or something. So that could be a damaged valve that is now no longer working, and it was all cruddy before because it was wearing out and it wasn't sealing properly, and that's why I was getting a reduced flow. So I don't think I fixed my problem by cleaning all that out. I think I ruined the piece. It's done now. It won't work at all because there's no way to have the air go one way. I wanted to pull another unit apart just to see if I could get an idea if that's really what we were looking at. So I've got this big one for a 100-gallon tank, and it is built completely differently on the inside. The same basic principle applies with very, very thick rubber diaphragms and magnets, but this actually pumps the air through these little chambers and down into this bottom area, and apparently the valves and stuff are in here, and it blows it out these twin ports right here. So the larger units are built slightly differently than the small one, so I don't have this piece to look at from another unit. So I may buy another unit so I can look at that piece, because I'm curious now. See if we can get that to focus properly. I am curious now as to whether or not that is supposed to be a one-way valve or is supposed to be fully open like that. Did I clean that or did I ruin it? I don't know. But as I said before, make sure you're subscribed and you will not miss any updates I do, because I am going to get to the bottom of this. So make sure you're subscribed. You won't miss that or anything else I got coming up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon.